Well, here we are again. It's GOC rehearsal time. We're starting rehearsals, but this year, penguins. We're doing penguins this year. I was selected to be a penguin. I think there's 6 of us. I don't know what that means because this was the very first rehearsal. So let's go in and penguin it up, penguin it out. I don't know. I don't know what the right term is. We'll figure it out together. So we always start off by first learning some of the dances. This year, we would be dancing alongside the gingerbread people, and so our first rehearsal was with them learning their dance. We lined up in a big room and started learning the dance. Since the costumes were going to have very limited visibility, they decided to let us start practicing with the heads so that we could start getting used to that limited visibility. The gingerbread people have even less visibility than the penguins, so this was good practice for us. Shout out to all the gingerbread people because I don't see how they do so well with such limited visibility. So literally they can only see a very small portion of the floor a few feet in front of them the entire time. So they can't see each other. They can't see what's going on around them really. So it's really amazing if you saw the show to think that they couldn't see hardly anything. After a few individual rehearsals, we started to meet with other dance groups that had been learning their own dances and putting it together. Now, this isn't the stage, so we were still limited a little bit in our blocking, but it started to give us a better idea of timing of when the dances would actually be set to the music and somewhat where we would need to be at those different times. Since these are new routines and new songs, the choir actually has to record all of this music to have as a backing track during the entire performance.
Bring on the turkey, potatoes, casserole dishes, 'cause I ain't messing around. Button up britches.
Pretty cool, right? They started giving us our props, which means we had something else to keep track of, but it's pretty fun, and you start to get a better sense of what's actually going to be happening during the production. Then it was time for costumes. Penguins get to wear these really cool gold light-up shoes. And of course, the individual suits. All the costumes are technically different, so you should be able to tell us apart. But in general, people were very confused about who was who. There are hundreds of costumes in this production. I took some pictures one afternoon to give you some idea of how many there really are, and they just kept going on and on. I kept finding more and more. Eventually, the church's main worship center is converted to a stage with everything that goes along with that. And we started to have a place to actually have our props. This is normally the orchestra practice room, but it becomes the prop room during GOC. At this point, we got a more detailed walkthrough of everything we would be doing during the show. And it was actually a lot. I counted 6 times that we went out on stage between different songs and at different times. Then we had to actually start running through this blocking. It often looks like it works on paper, but then when you actually try to run through it and get from point A to point B in the amount of time that they think you have, you see that it doesn't always work out. We got divided into stage left and stage right and got placed in different spots. And so this was a lot of fun. It really started to feel real. Because the penguins pop up all throughout Act 1, we had to be there during other people's rehearsals just so that we could be there for the entrance or the exit or during the number or whatever it was. And this helps us as well as them because if we're going to be in a spot, they need to know that we're going to be there so they can make room for us or go around us or whatever. At any given time, there can be hundreds of people on stage. And so being able to move around safely is really important, especially when you're wearing a penguin head and you can't see very well. Finally getting to some rehearsals where we were wearing the penguin heads and you had everybody on stage who was going to be there makes a huge difference. You realize how little you can see, how much movement there is, but it's pretty fun. Don't worry, I'm not supposed to be coordinated at this part, so if it looks like we're not matching what everyone else is doing, that's actually on purpose. The penguins do pop up all throughout Act 1, like I said, and so there were a lot of really random things they were having us do. Stick around to the end and I'll show you a not great video of what it actually looks like during the performance. The parts where you're standing still and miming playing an instrument are pretty easy, but the parts where you're running through a crowd of people and you can't see very well and you have to interact with someone else, a little bit more of a challenge. And after just a few weeks, the animals arrive, and then it's time to start the real performances. Backstage, there's always a lot going on. It's almost like a whole other show back there. Before the shows, we usually hear from one of the ministers. They provide some encouragement and motivation and just help us focus on the real reason we do these things. Being a penguin was a lot of fun. You can see there's a lot going on. We have a lot of props. We have a lot of dancing we do. We run around and mostly act silly, and that's kind of fun. We don't have to be super coordinated, but we add just a little bit to the show, and I gotta say, this was definitely a fun role to have. It was certainly stressful early on because there are a lot of entrances and exits and being in the right place at the right time, and even some little costume changes that we had in our penguin costume. So it was a lot. We got asked a lot, are those costumes hot? Yes. The answer is yes, they are very warm. But we found ways to cool off. There are days where we do up to 3 performances of this entire show in a single day. Those are long days. It requires a lot of prop resetting, a lot of costume changes. It's very, very busy. So the penguins got to spend a lot of time together, which is fun because I didn't know all of the other penguins very well before this, but I certainly do after this. If you came to GOC this year, thank you so much. It was a great experience. I hope you enjoyed it. Now here's a little montage of all the little penguin parts that I was in.
Check out my toys!
It's fine.
Hey, those cookies. First stop is the toy factory.
Ambrosia and burgers, man, a pudding with a cherry on top. Cookies, I got my stretchy pants on.
Always ready.
Let's do a quick roll call. Toys,
Check.
sweets and treats.
And if this is something that looks interesting to you, I'm pretty sure they're not going to change Act 1 for 2024 or 2025. So if you've been seeing some stuff that looks interesting, look for tickets to go on sale. It's usually in the September-October timeframe. You can check out prestonwoodgoc.org for more information. Stay curious and have a good one.